1988, Friday the 13th, Part 7, A New Blood was released. In it, both Jason and the audience were introduced to a young girl named Tina Shepard. Despite being young, blonde, and troubled, she was going to be no easy kill for Mr. Voorhees. She could move objects, set things on fire, make the ground beneath you completely collapse, all with the power of her mind. Lar Park Lincoln played the memorable role, and she is our very first guest here on The Critic Show. And Lar, this had to be a really fun role to land. It's an iconic film series, and Tina was really unlike any other character that Jason faced. How did you get that part?
Really, it was just simply an audition. It was sent to me from the agents to the managers, and it was titled Birthday Bash because they didn't need fans, storming the audition rooms.
Right, but you had your husband reading scripts at this point in time, and when he read Birthday Bash, he quickly realized this is not Birthday Bash, this is Friday the 13th.
Yeah, he's like, this is Friday the 13th. Oh my God, this is Friday the 13th. You got to do it, baby. You got to do it for me, baby. I mean, I love horror movies, but he loved Friday the 13th. And he was just like, please go get this part. And I read the role, and they had me back a second time to do another audition to test for the leading guys, and I booked it.
So you were pretty stoked about getting the part, I would think.
I was thrilled. I thought it was so cool. I love the psychic stuff, loved all of the Carrie shows. And originally they had tried to do a Carrie character, and the films were owned by different people and they weren't able to make it happen. I had loved all of the different Friday the 13th, but this one in particular was really cool because my character never ran from Jason in the entire film. She ran towards him and never from him, really. She ran into rooms, but she was never running from him, to do the fall and all of the things that normally happen. And I was really excited. I thought it was going to be fun.
Now, these powers were kind of a blessing and a curse because despite having them, they caused her to have a lot of emotional issues, and she had some traumatic experiences in the past with it. And there was a lot of crying and screaming. I would assume that this part took an emotional toll on you to have to bring that to the set every day.
It was a hard film to shoot. Anything that's a horror movie is going to be in the dark. You're going to go to lights up, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, and it's going to be cold. It's going to be really cold. And it was like 17 degrees. And your character's not going to have a coat. And we shot all of the interiors in a really crummy section of L.A. where you should not be driving. And I was driving, no cell phones, into a not-so-cool area to shoot every day for weeks on end. Then we fly to Alabama and we shoot. So it was a hard shoot. It was a physically hard shoot, and it was an emotionally hard shoot because no one ever told me you could use fake tears. So all of my tears were real, so I had a migraine, for 6 weeks for crying constantly at different levels. It was surreal. It's like, wow, this is so cool. I'm making a horror movie. And what was weird, is watching horror movies and then making one. I got to do all the fun stuff, looking at an X on the wall and screaming and imagining the effects. And I could just hear people saying, don't run up the stairs, and of course I did. So that was really fun, getting to do those things.
So after landing this role and doing everything you had to do to make Tina believable, did you at least treat yourself by going to the movie theater with some friends and enjoying, all your hard work?
It was playing at a theater in Westwood, really cool part of L.A. where all the cool stuff goes, and I had a group of friends to go. My mom and dad saw it in Dallas, and my parents, I felt so sorry for them going, but they did it. They went in Dallas, and I went and saw it in L.A., and I thought if I wore some big brown glasses that there's no way anyone could recognize me, because I never recognize anybody sitting next to me that they're in a movie. I just don't recognize people. And we go in and watch the movie, and it was the big crowd, and it was really fun.
Was it fun to see your telekinetic abilities in action on the screen, maybe in a way that you didn't see on set?
I was actually able to see it because we didn't have computer-generated effects so much. So it was very different than what they do today, where they added in later. So when we were shooting the fire, the matches on the desk, there's a guy underneath that desk sitting between my knees playing with a magnet to light a matchbook. And then when I was tossing the TV, it was on thin little wires and went back and forth and back and forth. The fire was real. We shot with the real fire right there in front of us in the basement in those scenes. So it was really cool when I got to watch the final stuff, though, because even when we've looped and we've gone in and fixed sound and whatnot, when you see it together, you get to see all the music and the sound effects. That was really cool. And when the movie was over, we kind of were walking out, and people recognized me. And I ended up being chased out of the theater, separated from the group, and I ran a good quarter of a mile, and I was really scared. I didn't know what was happening. Ran into a parking lot and hid behind a car. And it was like watching people's feet walk back and around, saying, there she is, where'd she go? There she is. And I had not expected that at all. It was strange, and I was silly to think one pair of brown glasses, but that's what happened.
Okay, that had to freak you out a number of ways, because you just got done doing a film where you had to face off against a killer and deal with all these emotional issues, and everybody's running around getting chased, and then you go to the theater and watch all of it unfold on the screen, and then the moment you step out of the theater, you're being chased by a bunch of crazed fans.
I never thought of it like that. I really didn't, but that's an interesting connection there. But now that you mention it, yeah, it was kind of bizarre being chased by all of those people, all their feet. I just kept seeing feet. It was like an Alfred Hitchcock thing where you're seeing feet run under cars. It was so funny, and I had no way to call my group of people to help me. I had to just wait till they found me.
Now, for its time, this movie was a financial success. Did it open up some other doors for you?
They came to me for Part 8 and didn't want to give me a script, just wanted me to sign on to Part 8. And my managers felt that might not be the best, because I didn't want to get killed off in the first 10 minutes of the next movie, because the character of Tina was so cool. So I passed on that. But, if they had given me a decent script, then I sure would. I would have gone for it. I loved it. I would have loved to carry her on.
Now, we joked a moment ago about always knowing what's going to happen in these films. We know that Jason's going to come back to life, he's going to die, and then there's going to be another movie, and he's going to come back to life again and die again. This was the 7th sequel. You know what's going to happen. So what do you think it is about Friday the 13th that, despite knowing all this ahead of time, kept bringing people back to the theater?
I think it's just pure fun. I really do. It's not rocket science. It's just fun. The fans love Jason. They love the monster, and they love the story. And I used to love going to drive-ins and watching it. It's fun. The girl's going to open the door and get hit in the head, and somebody's going to lean against a wall, and the hands are going to come through and grab her, and it all. And it's just a blast to be scared. Yeah.
When I think about the 80s and the horror movie formula, you not only had Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, but you had those kind of quirky horror movies like House, and you got to be in House 2 as well. So now you've done Friday the 13th Part 7 and House 2. Did you begin to feel that you were just meant to do the sequel movies?
Well, I did make a joke about, nobody was going to send me a script unless it had a bunch of numbers after it. But, I don't think they were one after the other. As I look back, it just kind of compiles that way. House 2 was really a comedy. House 1 was fantastic, and that's why I wanted to do House 2 so badly. But it was really more of a comedy. And then I did Freddy's Nightmares. And so I'm the only actress so far that we figured out that has fought both Freddy and Jason.
Whoa, well, there's a claim to fame.
Way cool piece of trivia, right?
Definitely. Well, since the program is about sequels today, I have to ask you, do you have another favorite sequel outside of Friday the 13th Part 7 that you really liked? And it can be a sequel, a remake, or whatever you like.
Well, I think the follow-up, it wasn't a sequel, it was just redone. La Femme Nikita, the French version, and then when Bridget Fonda played it in the American version. But they kept it true. I don't know why they kept it so exact. Why do a show and copy every single scene exactly the same? That makes no sense to me, but I love that series, and I loved it a lot.
Well, you've had a pretty active career so far, and from what I understand, you still have a lot going on. What are some of the things that you're involved in now?
In 3rd grade, I wrote a paper, and it was about what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be an actress, a writer, and a teacher. And I still have the paper, actually, which is hard for an Army brat kid because we lose everything when we move every 2 years. And I looked back, and now I have achieved those things. I've continued to act. I took a little bit of a break because of my work on the QVC Shopping Channel and my invention company and those things. I have Park Lincoln Studios, and I have Talent Start. I teach a really unique and new way for actors to accelerate careers really quickly, where it used to take like 10 years to make something happen. I've gotten it down to like it's a 4-year time frame to really make your career happen with some neat classes, all on camera. And I've written a book called Get Started, Not Scammed, and that's to help others, make it happen and not lose all their money and dreams and hopes, because there's a lot of scams out there. And I've shot a few things lately. I did Lifetime's Inspector Mom. Shot a couple of films and some cameos, and really looking forward to doing some shows as a mother, as an adult. In fact, one of the screenplays I've written, and I did mention to Sean Cunningham actually last weekend, was the story of Tina returning as a psychiatrist herself, and her daughter having the power, and that would reach both age levels of fans. So I don't know. We might have some talks about that. And they've also talked about a retribution show where Amy and I and one of the other first actresses attack Jason all together. But, I have quite a few different things going on as far as working. I love teaching, and I love speaking, traveling with my book, and teaching acting. I love all of that. So that's pretty much what I've got going on right now.
Well, not only do you have those things going on, you do the horror convention scene too, don't you?
Well, yeah, I'd never heard of a convention. I didn't know what it was, and someone called me and asked me to attend one. And that was an eye-opener. I had no clue. I'd never been to a convention, and I had so much fun. So I've done a few. I love meeting the fans. And I'll have fans from the soap days of Knots Landing, or from nighttime shows. Well, Murder, She Wrote, I got to shoot in the Psycho House. I mean, that was like the high point of my life, to be in the real Universal Psycho House. And, I'll have fans from those different shows, and then fans from the horror shows. And I have a great time, and I just love it. I'm having a ball doing that. I really am.
Okay, so when you go to the conventions, I'm sure you get a lot of crazy questions. Have you ever had one of your fans ask you if you really have telekinetic powers?
Yes, I do. And fans will ask me that, and, they'll ask me how it felt to be around Jason, but, that was all fun.
Well, of all the sequels that were made for Friday the 13th Part 7, Tina definitely stands out and holds her own, and it was a pleasure to get to talk to you, and thank you so much for being on the program and being our very first guest on the Critic Show today to talk about your role in Friday the 13th Part 7.
I just think it's great. I hope everybody loves it. I think you're going to have a ball coming up with a lot of hysterically fun and interesting things about sequels. And let's just send out the note there to the writers to write something else, write another story. I think everyone would appreciate it.